Hi, I'm Iridium. Hope everyone's all right today. It's album review time, and we've got Crashdiet and Automaton. So this came out Friday, April the 29th on Crusader Records. It's the 6th album by this Swedish melodic hard rock band. 11 tracks in total. Man, let me tell you now, I've really been looking forward to this album. And the reason for that is the singles that have come out have totally blown my mind. And I've thought, you know, can the album be as good as those singles? And surely this is, for me, my favourite album by Crashdiet. And I know a lot of Crashdiet fans may not think that's, you know, I know they've had a couple of classic albums when they, you know, when they first were on the scene. They've been together quite a while now. But for me, consistently as well, across the board on this album, every track I had something to love about. I really did. I think this album is so fucking good. And I've always looked at Crashdiet almost like second tier. And that's nothing. By the way, I'm not having to go at Crashdiet. That's an amazing feat. When you look at the Swedish bands and the Swedish melodic hard rock scene, you look at some of the music that's coming out of Sweden, it's just mental. There's different bands every single day of the week, it seems. So when I'm talking second tier, I mean the likes of, you know, when I think about my favourite bands coming out of Sweden, I always think of, you know, Heat. I always think of Eclipse. They're like my two top bands, I would say. And then I've always put Crashdiet, Crazy Licks, probably on the second tier, if you like. You know, not quite my favourite bands, but very close to it. All I can say is this album puts Crashdiet right up there with Eclipse and Heat. For me, this is such a strong fucking album. My favourite, like I said, from the band so far. And, you know, that's a tall feat considering the brilliant albums they've had out, especially the first couple in their career. And then the brilliant album Rust, which came out a couple of years ago as well, which was sort of heading towards this album, if you like. But this one has just took everything that Rust did, but amplified it. And it's given them a different feel in some of these songs as well. There's a bit more darkness in some of these songs. I think their sleaze that they've got, you know, that they really had at the beginning of their career, are slowly dropping off. They still got a little bit in their music, but you know, it's more of a melodic hard rock sort of feel now, sometimes bordering on metal, I would say, with some of the riffing that's going on. So it's a little bit heavier for me, it's a little bit darker, and that sleaze is sort of, it's there still, but not quite as much. This is them, for me, at the top of their game. I think this album is something really special, I really do. You got the brilliant Gabriel Keys on the vocals. I think he was new on the Rust album. Absolutely great vocalist. I think he really has improved as well. Although he was brilliant on Rust, I think he's getting better and better. I love the tone of his vocal. Sometimes he puts more of an aggressive feel on his vocal as well, and it amps up the energy of the songs overall. Excellent vocalist. On the guitar, you got Martin Sweet. Just a brilliant guitarist, man. I mean, there's so many great guitarists around these days. It must be hard for guitarists in this genre to really stand out, you know. And there's so many technical good players, but you've got to have that melodic side of your guitar playing to catch my ear. And that's exactly what Martin Sweet does. He's really riffy as well on this album. This is really heavy, some of this. It's not extreme metal, by the way. It's melodic hard rock, sometimes bordering on heavy metal. But in the melody, there's always, in the solos, there's always melody, sorry. It's just a fantastic guitar-driven album. And sometimes, you know, really heavy, like I said. And on the bass, you've got Pete London. And on the drums, you've got Eric Young. Super tight outfit. I mean, from the beginning of this album, it just sounds so pounding. It's just absolutely superb. There's a real stomp about this album. You know, the band seem hungry. The songwriting's absolutely fantastic, which is the most important thing. Everyone in the band is fantastic, but you've got to have the songs. And these guys have really mastered their songwriting, I think, as well. I do talk about my favourite tracks. There's quite a few of them to talk about. I could talk about every one, but I'm going to talk about the standouts. So there's a lot of them. But after a little intro, to this album. You get the second track in, the first proper track, if you like, Together, Whatever.
A legacy that paints the blonde in stereo.
This was a single, and you feel straight away how tight the band feel on this song. Really hooky vocal line in the verse. It's nearly as catchy as the chorus, but not quite. But then the chorus is huge as well. The chorus sort of has a sort of familiar feel that what you get out of the melodic hard rock genre in Sweden at the moment, but in a good way. You know, it sort of puts a smile on your face. You think, oh yeah, Crashdiet are here, and they're banging it out as much as those top bands in Sweden are, for sure. So a nice simple chorus, a whoa chorus if you like, a great opening track that is just full of high energy. This would be a fantastic live track as well. You almost feel the atmosphere in this song to be portrayed into the live situation. On tour with Heat at the moment, I believe, or will be. So man, what an absolutely brilliant gig that would be to go and see. So we move on to the next track, Shine On. This is a heavy sort of medium pace track, vocal lines like spat out from the vocalist with real aggression, a real excellent, yet again, gang vocal, catchy chorus. This has a real stomp to it, this song, you know, and you can feel that, the stompy groove this band's got. Surely again, this song feels like it's written for the live situation. Absolutely superb. The next song on the album is maybe my favourite song at the moment. The absolutely amazing No Man's Land. Now this was the first track that came out a few months ago now, or at least a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months. It's a single. Perfect example of how good this band have got. A darker, sort of heavier Crashdiet, if you like. Really heavy riffing throughout, but what a catchy fucking song. A huge, huge anthemic track that surely is going to be a staple in their set list from now on. Next up we get Darker Minds. Now this is another great example of how the band have sort of steered away from that more sleazy sound, if you like, with a huge sounding melodic hard rock track. On this one also, I'd say they inject a little bit more of a modern sound that is absolutely brilliant. Maybe a touch of the band Degreed, you know, the Swedish band Degreed, where Degreed are a lot more modern than these guys, modern sounding, but it's got that little touch of it, if you can hear it. They mix it with that 80s sound as well, which is absolutely perfection. Next up we have Dead Crusade. Again, the heavier side of the band here on this medium paced track. Crushing riffs, but this time a slightly sleazy feel, I would say, mixed with their heaviness as well. Another huge chorus, need I say that again, that just gives me 80s Sunset Strip vibes. Outstanding track. Next up you've got Power Line. This is the latest single. This features Michael Starr from Steel Panther. So the band just sound amazing here. A great track yet again with a huge sounding chorus, which is a single. It sounds like a single. Vocals are shared with Michael Starr from Steel Panther. I think it's a brilliant move by the band, you know. Some people, you know, are not too keen on Steel Panther because they're sort of, if you like, a little bit of a parody sometimes of metal music or hard rock and metal. You know, they're quite a big band now. You know, they've actually come over to England and they headlined at Wembley. So, you know, they're a fucking big band. So I think it's a really good step by the band to get Michael Starr involved. You know, a lot of fans, you know, musically, Steel Panther are fucking great. Whether lyrically you like them or not is a different matter. But I think it's a really good move by the band, and this is a great song. Some of the catchiest melodic rock you will hear this year for sure. Next up, we've got Resurrection of the Damned. So man, this track is heavy again. It's medium to fast pace. The riffs in the verses are just so damn fucking heavy. A sleazy feel a little bit again through this track. Maybe fitting in more with their previous work, I would say. Vocalist just sounds absolutely immense here. a great track. So the next track I want to talk about is Shell Shock. This is the darker side of the band again, on full display I would say here. Some great heavy chugging guitar work in the verses, leading to another brilliant gang vocal chorus that's just outstanding. This to me almost has a sort of, I can imagine this, I was listening to this, it almost has a horror soundtrack feel to me. You know, not within the film, but maybe, you know, you imagine the titles coming up on a horror film, on a slasher film or something like that, and this coming on at full blast. It actually just gave me those feels. Absolutely superb song. Last track I want to talk about is the last track on the album, I Can't Move On Without You. So we've got a ballad here, acoustic led, amazingly sung. Just a brilliant vocal on this beautiful ballad. There's sort of strings that are introduced earlier on in the song, but the band just kicks in for the last minute and it just sounds outstanding. I mean, I've already mentioned the vocals on this, they are absolutely outstanding, but all these guys are, they're absolutely brilliant musicians, and you know, they've had a lot of problems in the past, but this is like for me, this sounds like their pinnacle. It sounds like they're really on top of their game for sure. All the issues they've had, but they have just smashed it, especially in the songwriting department on this album. It's high energy, melodic, hard rock, done at its best. So this is available everywhere now, guys. Crashdiet Automaton. Let me know if you're going to get it. Have you already got it? Let me know in the comments below, guys, and I'll see you next time.